Charts bridge the gap between our spreadsheet data and the real world. Or as the book states, charts show trends or relationships in data that are easier to see than by looking at the actual numbers. Sometimes more than one chart can be used for the same data, as we can see in this example. Excel supports a wide variety of charts and chart styles. To decide which type of chart to use, you must evaluate your data and determine the ultimate purpose or goal of the chart. Consider how your data will appear in each type of chart before making a final decision. Let's take a look at this data range here for an example. I'm going to go ahead and select the entire data range, and on my Insert tab, under my charts grouping, I do have recommended charts, and I can click on that and I can look at the different types of charts: clustered column, clustered bar chart, stacked bar, and I can just scroll down and look through these and see, what's going to best represent my data. And I think I'm just going to go ahead for this example and pick this very first one, a clustered column. And I will click on OK. Once the chart is inserted, notice that you have a sub-tab, Chart Tools, with Design and Format tabs. So in the Design tab, you have different chart styles that you can choose from to quickly format. You can change colors. You can use the quick layout. You can switch row and column. So if you want to represent your data in a slightly different way, you can even change the chart type. So if you're not quite happy with that chart that you chose initially, you can choose a different one. On the Format tab, again, you have some additional formatting that you can use. The chart has different elements. We have a chart title, we have our legend, we have the category axis, the value axis, we have our major grid lines, and anything that I hover over, it's going to tell me what that element is. I have my different series. I can also, from my Format tab, here in my current selection grouping, if I click this drop-down arrow, I can see all of the different elements that I have of this chart. So if I wanted to modify any individual element, I could do that. So plot area is this area right here. If I wanted to format that just slightly different and go back to, let's try a fill color. So you can see just the plot area I could format. When I have the chart selected, you're going to see the Chart Elements button. And if I click on that, I can deselect or add any of the chart elements. So if I deselect axis, then I'm not going to see my value in category axis. I can have axis titles or take those away. A chart title, data labels, and when you click the little side arrow here, then I have options of where to place those values. The next one is my chart styles. So this is just a quick way, instead of going up to the ribbon and applying a style, that you can do it directly here. And the next one is filtering. Let's say I only want to look at, I'm going to deselect everything, or maybe I do want to see all the books, the different types of genre that were sold, but I only want to see 2008 and 2009. So I can filter that information out. Let's take a look at a different data range. I'm going to go to my Sales Commission tab here, and I have some salespeople here, different regions, their total amount of sales, and their commission. I'm going to go ahead and select this entire range. Go to my Insert tab. Again, I'm going to look at recommended charts, see what I got. I always default to a clustered column chart, so I'm going to insert that. Okay, so this is what we're looking at, but I notice in my legend that it's including totals and commission. So really the purpose of this chart is I do want to see represented the amount of sales for each region for each salesperson. And that's good, and I want to see
the commission that they got. I don't need to see the totals though, because I think that's kind of skewing what my chart looks like. So I'm going to modify this a little bit. I am going to, on my Design tab, click on Select Data, and I can look, here is my series, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm simply going to deselect totals because I do not want that to show up. And I do want all the salespeople here. Click OK. Notice that that is gone from my legend. Take a look at that, and it's still not quite right. If I come over here and I look at my commission and I look at my sales, there's quite a discrepancy in that number range there. So I think what I want to do is change my chart type. And I can see here that each series is a clustered column. My commission is a line chart. So these are my clustered column charts, my series, and then this is my line chart. But I'm going to go ahead and put that on a secondary axis. Click OK. Notice now here is my secondary axis, and so that really makes that line chart for my commission really stand out a little bit more. This may not be the perfect example, but it does give you an idea of what we're looking at. And then probably for this one, maybe I want to change where that legend is. I don't really like it at the bottom. I could put it at the left. Yeah, I kind of like that a little better. Change my chart title. And notice whenever I click on an element, I do get on my right hand side, the formatting pane will appear. And so you have more options here to do formatting. So in addition to what you're going to find here on your ribbon, you will find for the different elements, the formatting pane will pop up. So I want to change this to sales and commission. Okay, that's just another example of what we can do with a chart. By default, when I insert a chart, it is an element within that worksheet. I can move the chart to a different worksheet, or I can move it to its own worksheet. So let's just take, if I go to File, Print, see what that's going to look like. Actually, that's just what it looks like if you have the chart selected. That's not what I wanted to do, so I did have it selected. So if I do not have it selected, now I go to print. I can see here's my data range and here's my chart, and then of course I would have to format this so it would actually print nice if this is how I wanted to print it. But let's say I want to move it, so I'm going to select the chart, go to my format, or actually I want to go to my design tab, move chart, and I can move it to a new sheet or an object in for whatever worksheet that I have created. I could move it to one of those worksheets. But let's say I want to move it to a new worksheet, and by default it's going to be called Chart 1, Chart 2, wherever Excel is in the series of charts. Or I could give it a name, but let's just keep the default. So say OK. I got a new worksheet tab down here called Chart 1, and that's all that is on here is that chart. Okay, so that was a somewhat quick overview of charts in Excel. The project is going to have you, the Module 4 project is going to have you do a little bit more with charts. So again, if you have any questions, please just email me or go ahead and post in the discussion group. Okay, so catch me in the next video, and we're going to talk about spark lines and data bars. Fun stuff.